This the WAR Report coming live every Tuesday at 7 with Steve, Cat, Ryan, Amanda, and Eric. In the voice of NEW, Vince Berry. Hitting all the topics like a clothesline flurry. Turn up your speakers and hear them out. You can listen from your car, even on your couch. They too raw, who NXT? Handing out SmackDowns, follow on IG. Plus, it's sponsored by Tag Me a Date. Go to YouTube and sub now for every update. It's all wrestling here. No safe space. Now listen in. Time to hear from some of the greats.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry. Cause they love him in London and Paris and Tokyo, America, Scotland and Canada and Mexico. They say, I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
It is time once again for everybody to get aboard the WAR Report. How's it going, everybody? It is not the Ho train. I
really thought that's where you were going to go. I was going to hop on right with you. But I'm glad you didn't.
I'm trying to be
PG.
At least for the first couple minutes, because I know they say if you swear too much in the first couple minutes of a stream or a video, then they suppress it. So I try and play it a little straight for the time being, but then we'll
it gets out of hand later on.
We'll ramp it up. Yeah, and I just shared the video for those of you who are following different pages. I shared it over to the WAR Report group and all that. So hopefully people will start coming in. It looks like everything is streamed. We've had such a thing with StreamYard lately. They've made a lot of changes since June that are kind of, I don't want to say negatively impacting the show because the show has been fine, but on the back end, it's like trying to reconnect Facebook accounts and then not having the right permissions. And now today, it looks like Twitter has decided that you need to be a Twitter premium member in order to live stream. I don't fucking know. So if you find, hopefully you're watching somewhere. If you're watching somewhere, welcome along for the ride. Hey, Eric, how's it going?
Hey, man, all the clocks in my house were all different times, so I didn't know what time it was.
What's going on, Eric?
How's it going?
It's not daylight savings time, though. How did that happen?
I mean, they were off by minutes. And
all right. I gotcha. Okay. I thought you.
I actually thought Eric had times around the world, and he just looked at the wrong clock. That's what I thought.
Right? Yeah, he's just got a bunch of.
Yeah,
what time is it in Belgium?
In Paris right now.
Right.
Fantastic. Well, we are here for the WAR Report. Steve is on his way, I believe. I think he got called into work today and is on his way.
What song did you guys open with?
I opened with Joe Hendry. I was trying to put up a picture, but I couldn't figure out how to put up a picture because I'm really bad at using StreamYard. You're lucky I know how to play music.
May I say this, because I can't, because I am a version of Joe Hendrick. I don't know nothing about the guy besides his song, and I'm a fan of him just because of his song. So if you're not a wrestling fan and you want to get into wrestling, listen to that song and follow the wrestler, because that's exactly what I'm going to do.
That's a start, man.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. This always feels weird to do because it's not usually my duty to push this sound, but we're gonna open up with David comes in, and God bless him. He's probably watching right now. He comes in an hour before the show to leave comments. I really appreciate that. I don't come in an hour before the show to leave comments.
That's some commitment, man.
That is commitment. So, David, welcome. Simone Biles has 29 gold medals in women's gymnastics. I had a feeling
I was wondering if he was going to mention Simone Biles.
We were talking in the chat about this. This has to be the best week of his life every 4 years is when the Olympics are on. I hope you're having fun, man.
Nadia was there.
Yeah, we were talking. Yeah, that's right. She was at the opening ceremonies or something.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Let's see, Celine Dion opening ceremony. Good on Celine Dion, man. Not that we talk about Celine Dion on a wrestling show, but I will say she has that stiff person syndrome that has really messed with her life. and to overcome that and be able to perform on a big stage like the Olympics opening ceremony, that's pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah, kudos to her, man. That was pretty awesome. She actually did a great job. I saw it.
Yeah, and there was an interview she did, I guess maybe a couple weeks ago. So I saw it on Reddit maybe last week, and she just was talking about how hard. It's a weird thing. It's a funny name, stiff person syndrome, but I guess it's very serious. And it really hinders her performances and just like getting around and being active and stuff in her regular life. David, I don't know about this one. Simone Biles against Nadia Comaneci. I mean, this is 6-1, half dozen of the other, but I think they're both up there as two of the best.
I will answer this for him, and which is, again, and a lot of people can hate me for this, and they will bash me on the show and unlike for it, but it's the same thing I always say with any given sport. When did Nadia Comaneci, when did she win a gold medal? In the 80s? 90s?
It was either the 70s or the 80s.
Okay, so what I say is this. Athletes are not the same from the 70s and 80s that they are right now in the 21st century. And it's hard to compare any sport, let alone gymnastics, because like Simone Biles made her own move up. They call it the bile, like which is that like triple somerset, whatever she does, which is crazy. I think only 2 other girls besides her have ever been able to do it in a competitive event, in a world event or Olympic event. So like that in itself speaks for itself. I respect Nadia Comaneci, even though I don't know her because of our friend David Rosca, but I would have to give the leg up to our American girl, Simone Biles, because she is different. She's changed the game. And for me, she is a top 2 women athlete of the decade in the United States. And I think she might be a top 10 athlete overall in the United States. So I respect that girl a lot.
No question. I mean, she's fantastic. And it would be interesting to see if you took somebody from the 80s, like a gymnast or a basketball player or whoever, brought them to 2024, gave them all of the modern like workout technology and supplements and like all the analytics and everything, would they be better? Would they be like, how would they stack up? Like if you took Nadia Comaneci and you're like, all right, here we go. This is the U.S. women's training camp for this year. How do they do? You know, it's you could never do it, but it's just an interesting thought experiment.
You actually brought up a very interesting thought, right? Because most of the time the conversation is just like, well, the athletes were better in the 80s than the 21st. These are softer, or whatever the case may be. But that is a very interesting thought about bringing the technology to them and let them train under the same technology. So I would dare to say athletes back then will take an edge up and a step up in their athleticism because they have this technology nowadays. So that is a very interesting thought, the way you just said it.
Yeah, I always think, that's
like
it's a hard way to compare.
Sport. Like people, how many times do people compare Michael Jordan to LeBron James? All the time.
All the time. I'm sick and tired of it because I'm a LeBron James fan for a lot of reasons, and that's the reason I said I might get butchered for this. But I don't think there's a comparison. If you take the rings out of the equation, there's no comparison in longevity of career or any other stats. And we're talking about a pass-first guy, which is LeBron, to a score-first guy, which is Jordan. But again, this is a wrestling show. I'm sorry. I'm getting out of hand here.
No, I like it. I like that we're able to dip our toes into
wrestling is very similar in that, people compare everybody to everybody.
Right.
How do you compare? The eras.
Because Hogan is the biggest name, was the biggest name up until, you talk about John Cena, Roman Reigns, whoever. But
Gold, Rock.
The matches, criticisms of Roman Reigns aside, he wrestles better than Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean? Like, he's just more athletic.
Unless it's in Japan.
Yeah, Hogan.
Right. Because in Japan, I've seen those videos. Holy shit, Hogan was doing drop toe holds, all these shit. I've never seen him do in my life.
I seen him do enziguris there. Like
he did an arm drag. I'm like, I didn't even know Hogan know how to do an arm drag. Period.
Yes, I didn't think he could move that quick. But again, for me, it just tells you about the different, because for me it was more of a story told back then. Now it's more athleticism. Back then they'll hold the hold for 2 minutes straight, and it feels like half an hour, but they're telling you so much in that hold. I'm stronger than you. No, you're stronger than me. Or you get your shot, I don't. Like little things like that, little nuances. They were great at it.
People get on Randy Orton, or they got on Randy Orton a lot for like the rest holds.
Oh yeah, he was. Well, they were egregious. It was always like what do they call it? The headlock from behind. It was just the worst. Like a rear chin lock. That's always what it was. It was a rear chin lock, and you just put. You know what I do miss though? The Garvin stomp. And I know it's silly, but I miss when Randy would do the Garvin stomp.
Is that the one stomp to the ankle?
And he goes like the ankle, the knee, the shoulder, the
Yeah,
elbow,
right. Yeah. That was awesome. It's so methodical, right? Like for me, I believe in ring, Orton is probably the best walker. Like, and what I mean by walker, I'm probably not explaining myself. Like methodical in the ring while not doing action. You know what I mean? Like that time that you're trying to work the crowd. Like I think he's awesome at that. He's awesome.
I agree. I mean, and it's a matter of experience. He's been doing it so long.
I also love that they call it the Garvin Stomp because it brings back memories of Rugged Ronnie or Hands of Stone or whatever.
Right. And that was, because he had that tie-in from like even his dad, and he's a third generation wrestler. He was part of the Orton family. Those guys ran in the same circles as the Garvins. It all kind of made sense. And in the video games, I always put it on my character as a move because it would do damage to like every spot. You know how like on the thing it would be like the head, the body, the arms, the legs. It would do damage everywhere. So I was like, oh, that's so useful.
I feel like it would have been suited for someone like Arn Anderson, because he's very,
pick them apart. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind MJF doing that, honestly.
I like that a lot. That would make a lot of sense. I apologize to anybody who's watching me eat pasta during the show. I'm hungry and the food just came out of the oven. I was like, I don't have time. So I'm channeling my inner Kevin Nash. If you've ever seen that video where Kevin Nash sits down with Sean Oliver and he's eating linguine with like a glass of red wine the entire interview.
I was going to say Michael Scott eating fettuccine Alfredo right before the race.
Right before a marathon, yeah. But Kevin Nash, so I just learned this last week or the week before. Kevin Nash did this interview, and it's kind of become this internet meme of Kevin Nash. He's sitting at a table at an Italian restaurant. He's got a plate of fucking pasta in front of him. And Sean Oliver's next to him on the microphone, asked him questions about TNA and WCW and all this other shit. And Nash is literally sitting there with a fork, swirling the pasta, the linguine around on the fork, and then like eating the pasta while answering the question, sipping his wine. And I found out recently, because there was a fire at the Gargano's restaurant, Johnny Gargano's father.
Yeah.
It was that restaurant that they filmed that interview at. So like it's not that it's a full circle moment, but it's just a small world of like, they probably went there because Johnny Gargano was on an indie show with Kevin Nash, and like they just needed a place to film, and he was hungry, and they're like, oh, we'll go to Johnny's dad's place. Unfortunately it did burn down. I assume they have insurance, or I don't know if there's a GoFundMe or anything, but if there is, go support it.
Kind of like the Friendly Tap or something.
Oh man, I always wanted to go there while Tim White was still alive. I think he's got a bunch of Andre memorabilia over there, if I'm not wrong, or just general WWF memorabilia. Actually, is it even open? I don't even know if the Friendly Tap is open anymore.
I don't think so. I don't know what order we're going with things, but
let me know what you want to start with, because
just acknowledge how amazingly hot Rhea looked last night. Oh my God!
Everybody's saying the same thing. It doesn't take away from the storyline. It enhances the storyline, but also it is kind of weird. It's like she's almost distractingly hot. And the same thing with Liv. Like, Liv's an attractive lady, but not distractingly hot. Like, yeah, Rhea's doing something, man. I don't know if it's working out more. She's eating differently. I don't know. Different makeup, different outfit. There's something going on that's just like, you're right, man. Do we want to start with SmackDown? Do we want to start with Raw? What do we want to start off with?
I'm trying to think. What happened on SmackDown?
I can always pull up the results and we can talk about it.
I in the chat I sent the theme to the original theme to SummerSlam.
Ooh.
Brought back memories. If you listen to it, you'll notice Right? Old school vibes, man.
And then you just, you have the old Vince McMahon voice, the young Vince McMahon voice, I should say, screaming over the top of it, Hulk Hogan against Sergeant Slaughter. You know what I mean? Like shit like that.
Yeah, it reminds me, and the fact that, Raw, even though he didn't really appear, but he was backstage, Jesse the Body Ventura, and he was the referee in the main event of the first SummerSlam.
Yeah, now that was very interesting. The reports that Jesse Ventura was back. There was photos and everything. But like,
Don't tell me you don't have one more. I can't do it. See,
they don't know what I know.
him and Karen
I was
Cross
there.
have done a Ventura off.
I was in the Gulf of Tonkin. They left our boys behind. You don't know what I know. They used thermite paint in 9/11. Really, Jesse? Okay, thermite paint. Anyway, yeah, Jesse's there. Jesse famously.
I have his conspiracy book, by the way.
I mean, listen, he's an interesting guy, and not everything he says is completely off base, but a lot of it is pretty wacky. Jesse was persona non grata for a long time because shortly before, I think, one of the SummerSlams, he tried to get everybody to unionize. Famously, Hulk Hogan sold him out, told Vince McMahon, gave him the Iggy, completely busted up any talks of a union before it could be formed. And then,
by
he was
after
gone for a while.
WrestleMania 6 in 90, he was gone.
And then he was in WCW for a while. They did bring him, it's funny. He was persona non grata, but Vince every so often would bring him back. Like he brought him back during like the Rock and Stone Cold feud, I think. Like 98,
he was the ref
99.
for the SummerSlam 99 main event.
There it is, yeah. So
he was, brought in the Hall of Fame eventually in 2004 and sporadic appearances, the GM.
Yeah, I was going to say he was GM for one night.
That's the one where he let Randy Orton in, even though it was supposed to be non-former WWE champions, but Orton intimidated him, so he's like, all right, Randy, you can go. That's when Sheamus had won.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Sheamus won that, and then didn't he, put, what's his name from Dallas? Mark Cuban through a table or something on, the next Raw? Like, the Raw was in Dallas, and Mark Cuban was the special GM. I feel like I remember Sheamus putting Mark Cuban through a table.
And then Sheamus basically accidentally won the WWE title from John Cena.
Right. Yeah, it was those
that
tables.
Wasn't the planned finish.
The tables match,
but they had to go with it because I mean, look, it's a better ending than Big Show accidentally stepping on the table after getting knocked off the apron.
That was hilarious. It's a bad finish and it's bad business and you shouldn't do it. But it's a funny visual. He literally just stepped off the ring and stepped on the table.
I have a question.
Reaction was made the whole thing.
Now that we're talking about blunder finishes.
Yeah.
Remember that famous Royal Rumble with Cena and Batista?
Yes.
Was that supposed to happen?
No.
Who was supposed to win?
Batista.
Okay.
That's why Vince came down.
I was going to say, there's no way.
Both his quads.
There's no way they could have planned that perfect.
It was right, and that's the thing. It was even too perfect. Even the one they did
was better
on
than
purpose.
Bret and Lex. Man.
I was going to say it was better than the one they did on purpose. Those guys legitimately fell at the same time. Everybody in there, including Vince, poor guy. I mean, poor guy now, but you know what I mean. Like he fucked his legs up. Everybody involved.
That's when he fucked his quads up, right?
Yeah, he tore both of them. But everybody involved in that had to think on the fly.
Yeah.
This is the Royal Rumble. Everybody knows the rules. Two guys clearly went over the ropes at the same time. They immediately thought to do one referee goes with John, one referee goes with Batista, which is good. And then the capper, the general managers came out, and then Vince comes out to make the final decision and gives us this history-making, tearing his quads moment. It was that Rumble was a moment in time. Like that's
what exactly happened? Did he bash his legs against the ring as he was going in or something?
Right. Against the apron on the way up, he hit both his quads simultaneously, and they both fucking.
And then he tried to stand up, and he had to sit down in the corner. Right.
Right. Apparently,
what a visual!
He sat down at the beginning of the pay-per-view at gorilla position and did not get up from gorilla position the whole show until the end of the Rumble match to go out there and try and restart it. So I think I heard Triple H say something like that. He was like, because he was sitting there so long, he was cold. He didn't stretch. He didn't like he
little
just
minor atrophy.
right. Yeah, he was
old.
right, and he's
We
older.
forget how
older
old
guy.
Vince is.
Yeah, he was probably in his 50s at that point.
For sure, in his late 50s.
Maybe even 60s. Yeah, shit. So yeah, he got he kind of got up. When you get up and your muscles aren't ready to go, and you like run or do something to overextend yourself, man. I made chicken parm. It's really good.
Nice. I just had lamb chops.
Ooh. I wanted ground lamb. It was too expensive. I was going to make some lamb stuff. You guys don't need to hear about what I was going to make for dinner. Should I pull up the results for SmackDown? Because I mean, it happened.
Yeah. Like, why
so
do I feel like did Cody go through another table or something? I was thinking about this, like the positioning of the matches. It's going to depend a lot on because people are claiming like several matches could be the main event, like the last match. But I'm feeling like the only way Cody Solo goes last is if Roman is actually returning. Like after post match.
I mean, I feel like that should be the case. Like
I don't see Damian Gunther going last. Possibly Liv versus Rhea because it's a big enough story. A lot of people are saying Punk Drew, but
you would have to finish with the bloodline.
Yeah, I feel like because Punk.
I mean, look, either Roman's coming back that night or the tall Tongan, the third brother.
Right.
One of them is showing up that night. So you got to finish the show with that.
Well, and also, I don't know if it's weird because it is a big match, Punk and Drew, but on the advertisements for the show, all the posters and everything, the focus is really on like Cody, even though I feel like it's kind of a lukewarm title defense. But Drew and Punk are like not very prominent on the advertising. I wonder if they were not that big because they didn't know if Punk was going to be ready in time, or if they don't know if this match is going to be, if it should be a main event level match. I don't know.
You open. Remember, the second most important match is the first match, so that's how you open the night. Your opening match is that one.
Yeah.
And then you finish with Cody and Solo.
Right, and especially if you're going to have either a debut or a return, you do it in the main event.
Right. Do we know the lineup for SummerSlam? What is it?
Yeah, we got the lineup for SummerSlam. While I pull that up, you know what I'm
second guessing the result of the Bayley Nia match now, because they're going to want to make their money on that Tiffy case.
Right.
Before they have her cash it in.
All right, so let's take a look here. The match is announced. Damian Priest versus Gunther for the World Championship. Bayley versus Nia Jax, Women's Championship. Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Women's World Championship. Cody Rhodes Solo, the Undisputed Championship. Logan Paul, LA Knight, U.S. Championship. Sami Zayn, Braun Breaker, Intercontinental Championship. And then CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. And the winner gets a date with Seth Rollins in a blouse.
I'm going to tell you what, though. This is a stack of a SummerSlam that I've seen in a while. Like, every single one of these matches has a pretty strong storyline behind it, which is pretty awesome.
No tag matches, though. I think I think the tag matches were on the pre-show. Yeah,
but like, do tag matches even fit with all the names we mentioned? Like, they fall short.
Right. There's no tag. Yeah.
Who's our champs again?
Oh God, DIY is one of them.
Exactly, and
Judgment Day.
I was going to say, I think it's Judgment Day.
Okay, but the poor men version of Judgment Day, right? You could arguably say those are the two less popular members of Judgment Day.
The NWOB team of the Judgment Day, yeah.
Right. Like the LWO of the NWO, in other words.
Exactly, and all these are championship matches aside from the Punk Drew one, and I'm sure that one has implications because those two guys and the referee Rollins all have some sort of tenuous stake or claim to the World Heavyweight Championship.
But I feel like Rollins kind of takes away from this a little bit.
Oh, I hate, I know Steve is going to come on and completely disagree at one point. I hate this Seth Rollins shit. I hate his little.
Well, but how do you set up Rollins CM Punk after CM Punk has to? I mean, Rollins CM. Yeah, CM Punk is going to cause Rollins the match one way or another. Like, what's his face is going to get him mad enough. You remember the fucking Shawn Michaels Undertaker Bret Hart scenario?
Yeah,
it's the same thing. He's going to spit in his face or shove his face, and he's going to super kick him or hit him with a chair, and he's going to make him count him out. And there goes CM Punk and Rollins in the future, and that's how you set him up for WrestleMania. Because you got to keep those away from the championship title match, so you got to give them something important enough to do till then, and that's the best way. The guys hate each other. The story writes itself.
No, and it makes sense. I just don't like. And
we're not going to be done by a long shot with Punk and Drew either.
Oh, probably not. I just don't like Seth's whole. I haven't liked this whole thing where he's like, he's kind of like the Joker thing.
I'm sorry, I can't take it anymore.
The outfits are even he came out in the stripes, and I'm like, I don't know. He looked like Lil Nas X. I don't know what he was doing out there.
Came off looking like an effeminate Beetlejuice.
He did look like he kind of did. He was very Lydia Dietz. But yeah, so a lot of title. I mean, every match is a title match aside from the Punk Drew one. For
I'm happy that both mid card titles are on the card.
Yeah, I mean, well, they deserve.
Exactly,
they're actually important enough. Yeah.
Oh, I just learned something crazy. This is actually Sami Zayn, who's been with the company on main roster almost 10 years now. This is his first SummerSlam one-on-one match. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy. That's actually really I mean, I know he was injured. There's been a lot of times.
Who's one-on-one match?
Sammy's his first SummerSlam. One-on-one.
I mean, look, it doesn't shock me simply for how long he's been played out for.
Because he's always been tags or multi-man stuff.
Well, remember all those WrestleManias? We went 10 years between the Intercontinental title being defended on it.
Yeah, that was crazy. Because there was a point where the Intercontinental title was kind of a joke. This thing that I'm reading here is absolutely terrible, and Alfred Kanua should be ashamed of himself that all he put on his SmackDown recap was the results of the 3 matches, and he didn't put any of the promo segments. Why would you do that? You're missing half the show, Alfred. Okay.
But you did, you little jerk. Oh man, I wish we had that queued up. That would have been hilarious.
Jeez, yeah. I don't think we have that sound. Can I get these results from somewhere, for Christ's sake? There we go. No? SmackDown results. There we go. Perfect. Started off with a recap of the Bloodline thing. Okay, Bloodline are with Nick Aldis backstage. Tonga Loa is not cleared to compete, so they put Jacob in the tag match, right? So,
yep.
Or what, is he doing it by himself? No, Tama. Yeah,
Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu.
Right. LA Knight beats Santos Escobar. Logan Paul gets in the ring, attacks LA Knight. Whatever. Okay, we cut backstage. And tells Byron she doesn't know what Blair Davenport. Well, who gives a shit about that? Sorry, I bothered everybody with talk of Blair Davenport and Naomi. More Logan Paul stuff. Bianca and Jade.
Didn't they get attacked by?
Yeah, they get attacked by Fire and Desire, or whatever their names are. I think this. I don't know.
Isn't that the women's chant, Fire and Desire?
Tag champs, yeah. So Jade and Bianca want their rematch, I think. But I think it's going to end up leading to a breakup. Like, I think they're going to split. I don't think they're going to get the titles back. I think they're going to break up.
Well, this is where you set them up to go against each other in WrestleMania with no title on the line.
Right.
And you get yourself a third women's match or possibly a fourth.
Because it's like if it happens now, then how do you go all the way to SummerSlam? You know?
Ooh, wait. I got it. They could start a rivalry. I hear rumors they're going to introduce a women's United States title or an Intercontinental or possibly both. You have a tournament that leads up to WrestleMania for the finals, and the winner takes the belt.
God help me if they bring in another title.
I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing because that way you can keep the women's division in one branch, and then you could just put the other title in another one.
Yeah, I guess, but we already have 2 singles women's titles, and they don't do really jack shit with the tag belts. So it's like, I don't know, like
I honestly think I wouldn't be mad if
be champion, or
if
and that's
they
okay.
discontinue the tag team titles and just give a individual like Intercontinental and the United States title for the women's division. Because the thing is, for some reason, nothing against ladies, they're great athletes, but the matches of tag team women's get a little watered down, in my eyes, in my opinion, based on what I see. It's very rare you see a very competitive women's tag team match. However, they put excellent singles matches on, and sometimes the title isn't even on the line. So if you give them a women Intercontinental, women U.S. title, I wouldn't mind if they get away from the tag team titles.
It's just that it becomes a participation trophy. Not everyone can be champion or should be champion, and that's okay. What does it mean to be the best if 2 are both the best? That's why I hate more than one world title in a single promotion.
Yeah, and it's just for those, like, the roster splits and whatever, and the brand exclusivity is why we even have a U.S. and an Intercontinental title. That wasn't the case until the companies merged into one when WCW got bought out. The U.S. title was WCW's mid-card before the world title, and the Intercontinental was WWE's.
Unfortunately, man, I keep looking back, and keep thinking that, man, what if they only brought in WCW as a brand back when, they were first acquired, from the beginning.
Yeah, they messed that whole thing up.
Only to merge the belts and then split them anyway the next year. So what is even the point?
And they brought in all the belts. Yeah, they brought in all the WCW belts and all or most of the ECW belts, and then eventually had to unify them all in like quick succession.
I'm not gonna lie to you. When the WCW belt came over to WWE, I was so fucking excited as a kid. I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
It's the cool, like, objectively.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, to have The Rock, a WWE guy, as WCW champion was cool as hell.
With the best looking belt, like objectively the best belt ever, like
arguably.
Yeah, I mean, I know there are others people say, but like that one, oof, that big gold belt from WCW.
Too gaudy for me. For my taste.
It's to me, it's like that is a champion. You know what I mean? That is like the world heavyweight champion wears that belt.
See, for me, belts depends on the person who wears it, right? For instance, for me, that belt, Ric Flair,
that was
Sting,
Ric Flair's belt.
Lex Luger, absolutely. They look like gold in those belts. But you talk about Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, I think about the Attitude Era Wing Eagle.
Yeah,
because that belt looked perfect on them.
That one really did look perfect.
And then the original Wing Eagle, when you look at somebody like Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, even the own Hulk Hogan, like the Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man, the way those belts looked on them looked great, So it's like, for me, it all depends the belt and the person.
But it's like the only belt that really didn't work for everybody was Cena's
the spinner
belt.
Oh my God, that belt was on him. You know what? I didn't like Brock Lesnar's undisputed Chris Jericho championship undisputed belt.
I wasn't a fan of that either.
I wasn't a fan of that one. I didn't like that one. Outside of that, I've been okay with pretty much almost every WWE championship besides that one.
It was funny to see
WWE logo though.
Yeah, they're all giant logos now.
I remember seeing a concept belt of when there was rumors that Cody Rhodes was going to win it. And it was kind of like the old school winged eagle, but with a little bit more of attitude on it. Oh, that shit was beautiful. Like, I'm so upset that belt didn't make it into fruition because that belt was beautiful.
Oh, that reminds me. Everyone's I see a lot of complaints about what MJF did to his belt that he won. Like
that was great.
International title, and he made it the American title or something.
Yeah,
I think it looks awesome.
And it's like the whole thing is a goof. Yeah. He renamed it the American Championship because he's facing Will Ospreay in London and is trying to get heat. And
he pulled the Lance Storm.
Yes, exactly. He pulled a Lance Storm. It's also, I guess, that is reminiscent of when Will Ospreay took one of the New Japan titles. I think it was the New Japan US title and named it the UK title.
Correct. The US New World Japan US Championship. He named it the UK Championship. He did do that.
Do you think there's a possibility of in AEW getting what's his name? Ospreay versus Zack Sabre Jr.?
Oh yeah. I think they can absolutely make that match happen again.
That would, yeah. AEW is the place for it to happen.
Unfortunately, fortunately for US fans, but unfortunately for everybody in general, the yen is not doing well. And by extension, a lot of Japanese businesses, including New Japan, are not doing well. So this partnership with AEW is giving them a little bit more money. It's giving the guys an opportunity to work some extra dates and make some more money. Where I think Okada took a pay cut in his last contract to try and give him a little bit of breathing room. And like the whole reason he went to AEW was so he could get money and not have to like put New Japan in a position where they can only afford Okada, you know? Let's see here. Let me just grab some of these comments. Oh, where's the thing? That thing. And I don't know how Steve does this all so quickly. Nadia coming. Yes, we became the first Perfect 10 in 1976. Correct. Simone Brown has the right to be the next segment as a women's. Yes, I agree that we're all on the same page regarding.
She is Simone the second. Brown. I do agree with that.
Right, but she and the things that I saw those videos, like there was a wonderful camera shot, like a tracking camera that went all the way along for the vault where they jump off that big spring thing, and the camera like just it followed her pace perfectly, and she ran up the thing and she hit the vault and like did some freaking flip that I've
some perfect landing
never seen in my life, and landed it like it was. She's an amazing athlete,
and that was with an ankle injury too.
Yeah, she's competing injured. It's crazy. A couple of the comments here. Dave A. Yeah, hey Dave. It's still strange to see that Great American Bash on NXT. I agree. It is very weird. It's also weird to me that the branding for Great American Bash was focused around Joe Hendry. That would probably, if I worked for NXT, I might be a little salty about that. But I see why they did it. He's on fire right now. And Tara says hello. Hey Tara, how are you doing? I thought Steve was coming on eventually, but I guess he got stuck somewhere. That's too bad. Yeah, so I guess Cody, there was a package for Cody, and Solo said he's going to meet him in the ring next week, so they're going to have a confrontation or whatever, or this week, this coming Friday. I don't know. Let's go through it real quick, because everything that SmackDown and Raw was talking about directly is building towards all this shit here. Like Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, everything that happened on Raw, like Liv burned all this merch. She just burned the merch table. But there was a vandal in the
I think it was an inside job.
Right. It seems like it's going to be Finn Balor turning on Judgment Day, right?
He's the one that's going to go with what's her face? He's the one that's going to cause Mommy not winning the belt.
Ooh. Oh, and he's going to go with Liv.
He's going to go with Liv. Think about it. He was the one in the hotel with her.
Didn't
They caught him
tease
like
that?
one or twice talking to her in the room by himself, and then they walked in like, "What are you doing?" Like he's the guy. Everybody thinks is what's his face? No. He's the
Oh, Jay
fucking guy.
Dietrich. No.
And then he'll probably team up with the apple biter. I forgot his name, Carlito, because he has no home. Nobody loves him.
Right. Yeah. It's like Dom and Carlito could have some adventures together or something.
Yeah, and
Right.
not only that, plus Damien's
And-
likely to lose
And
his belt.
if you think about it, since what's his name, Balor and Big Head are tag team champions, it would make sense if you take those two and Carlito and Liv, and now you have Dom and what's his name and Mommy on one side. That might make sense too. And have like a rivalry of them in between one another.
They can even do a thing where Rhea dumps Dom anyway.
That's what I'm thinking. She could just dump his ass anyway.
People love that couple too much.
They really do.
Yeah.
I believe there's so much late, like we're experiencing the bloodline right now. Like you could experience Dom and Mommy past the Judgment Day, and they can have their own storyline for at least a year. Like you got layers there that could go on forever.
I can't wait for them both to win the Intercontinental Championship at the same time. Oh man. I'm okay, Tara. Yeah, you're okay. Good. Everybody's okay. Good shit. I would be doing better if Steve was here because he usually steers the ship and I can just chime in with my funny comments. And now I got to do all the work here. But Al, based on what you were saying, you're thinking that Liv Morgan retains the championship at SummerSlam?
I think so because number one, Mommy does not need a title to be Mommy. That's number one. And I feel Liv has taken a huge step up ever since she got that title. And not only that, I think she deserves to have it for a little bit. I think, again, there's enough layers in Judgment Day itself, and Mommy included, that I don't think she needs a title right now to keep her aura. I think Liv does need a title, however, to keep her aura if she's going to step away from the Dominic Mysterio storyline. That's the way I look at it.
They can have Liv get like some kind of a, someone to protect her until Rhea gets to live again. Like she needs to, kind of like, what they
Finn Balor.
Yeah, but they just like, I was going to say like they just gave Camille to Mercedes Moné.
Right. Now it's brilliant.
Oh, you mean like a female muscle?
Yeah. Kind of like what they did with Raquel.
You know who would be cool to do that with? Who's the TNA champion? That big musclehead girl that was in the Royal Rumble?
Oh, Jordan Grace.
Since she comes in spurts, she doesn't really have to wrestle. She could just be there to beat a muscle. That would be pretty cool.
I love that it was the big head girl. Like that's just the perfect description.
I mean, that's what I remember most. She's a great athlete.
She's awesome. And I do prefer, look, I'm not going to be one of those assholes that says, oh, she got too manly and this and that. Although you can kind of, tell there was some performance enhancers and stuff like that. And I do prefer her, thicker, a few years ago. But she's still awesome anyway.
Oh, yeah. No knock on her talent. It's more just like, yeah, she really pushed into the like the female bodybuilding thing, which can include some very special. So, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. She dipped in some of the special supplements.
She's still like an amazing talent, and the stuff they did with her within NXT was pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. No, I thought it was talent worthy of the TV time.
What did you guys think of the Wyatt Six stuff?
There's such a big drop off after fucking Rowan and Bo Dallas to these other jabronis that I just don't get.
It's almost like they did it backwards. Like they should have
done
all of them and then led to at the end Bo Dallas, Taylor Rotunda, whatever.
I honest and please excuse my French because I shouldn't be cursing on TV with my current position, but they should have them fuck people up, not scare people, just fuck people up.
Like their first night.
Like I
They
get the
killed
first two,
half
3
the locker
nights,
room.
you scare people, but it's time to fuck people up. Yeah, like they murdered the whole show at the end of the night, and ever since then they haven't touched a soul till last night. Like they need to
Right.
step it up. I think they need to start like getting, like, right, like you just mentioned, right after those two was such a drop off, those other guys should show their athletic ability and see what they got and show their special moves and put people through those moves when they're attacking them. Like, showcase them a little bit.
Right.
I do agree with David Abbey. I think
Yes.
Loomis with the dreads and the fucking
Yeah, I didn't
makeup, I
expect
think he
that.
looks pretty cool after he took the mask off. So I
The
do agree with him on
unmasking
that.
That one unmasking scene was really cool.
Yeah,
Well
that
done.
was. I do agree with that.
Yeah, he looks like a young Rob Zombie almost.
Yeah. And the other thing is, besides like wishing that we would have heard, seen videos with him and Joe Gacy as to what their connection is, and again, it leads me to why didn't they use like Nikki I'm okay with, but they didn't really delve too much into her, but
No.
it's somewhat understandable, but like there's no relation. Like at least Braun and Alexa, make a lot of sense. Hell,
Well,
Matt Hardy would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, but wasn't Nikki? Well, Matt Hardy would make sense, and Braun would make a lot of sense, and Alexa would make a lot of sense. But wasn't Nikki at one point going around being like, "I have a secret," and like she was telling, and then that like her telling Alexa a secret was like what?
No, that was the whole Aleister Black thing.
Okay.
And telling him that Gargano was the one that
good Lord,
knocked him out or whatever.
Jesus. So what do you think of Dave's comment? If they take the belt off Liv, she's done. I don't know if she'd be done, but I think you're right. She, the belt benefits her.
I have to agree with Dave. I mean, the thing is, when you take a belt off of her, where does she go? Like she has to start somewhere in the bottom.
I mean, I don't
other
see her
girls that are
dropping
coming up.
At least until like Hell in a Cell in October.
Like I just don't think it makes a lot of sense. Like Mommy just got back. Like Mommy could build into it. Somebody could interfere in her match, start a new rift with her. A lot of things. I think she needs the belt.
No, I think you're right. And let's see, last one here. And Tara agreed with you about the Wyatt Six needing to be more violent. And that was kind of my issue with the initial thing was like, okay, they murdered the entire roster. And then the next week we all just went back to normal. Like, we're going to have a wrestling show this week, folks. Like, what?
Especially with what's his face? Gable. Like Gable should have been out at least 2 weeks.
Yeah, and then also, why do you build Gable's new stable at the expense of, the Wyatt Six? Like, obviously, the Wyatt Six should be the ones to go over when they have matches, but still, like, it doesn't make your new stable in, Gable and the Creed brothers look good either.
Right. And I almost would have preferred if, now that we have hindsight and seen what they've done these last couple weeks, I almost would have preferred if when on the debut of the Wyatt Six, the only person they attacked was Chad Gable. And really,
like singled out one particular person.
Right. Because
the reasoning makes sense because, he wasn't good to his family, the Alpha Academy.
Right. And that's why I was kind of thinking that, like, if they just attacked him and a lot of the best, they're trying to tell a horror movie here. This is what they like to do with these Wyatt themed characters. It's based on horror movies, but sometimes they don't quite dial in. A lot of the best horror movies are very small stories that don't necessarily have a ton of consequence outside of the main characters. Like, The Exorcist. It really is 6 people or whatever in a house, and if somebody dies in the house, it's like, It didn't end the world. You know what I mean? It seemed like when the Wyatts came in, they were like this big, like Thanos. They were like this big world-ending event, and now they're not. So if they started off a little bit smaller, I don't know if the expectations would have been as large.
Oh, and speaking of that, I was listening to Busted Open this morning, and good old Uncle Bully was talking about how his issue with the Wyatt Six is that they shouldn't be coming through like Gorilla, because it makes them like just another
You're right. Yeah,
people. Like
they should be like the Shield.
Like when the Shield came through the crowd, or when
Right, it gave them more of an outsider feel.
It's just like they're just another team at this point.
Right. I don't disagree. They've kind of just been integrated as part of the roster, and we've all just kind of accepted it. But it's
I mean, I still like what they're doing, and I like the videos, and I like but
I think what it boils down to is
I'm not giving up on Alexa being a part of it.
No, me neither. I think what it boils down to is I have to see what happens in this whatever's going down for SummerSlam. Are they in the pre-show or something? They're doing something.
Oh, by the way, did you know the pre-show is supposed to be apparently 3 fucking hours?
Wonderful. But they always do that kind of shit. They always do that. Like they always do the pre-show will be 3 hours, but then there'll only be like 3 or 4 matches, and they'll really space them out and do a bunch of video packs.
Yeah, there'll be hella talking.
Do you remember in your house days when they'd have that 1.5 hour?
It was just Todd Pettengill giving you the hard sell for 30 minutes.
Like they had that one match. It was Hunter Hearst Helmsley against Duke the Dumpster Drosy. Winner gets number 30 in the Rumble. Loser gets number 1. And Duke got won the match. 96 Rumble, I believe it was.
The only thing is they'd like to keep. I like the matches, the pre-show matches having consequences as they should, and I think the pre-show matches are the tag team championships on either side, I believe. But
I think it might be DIY potentially losing them to the bloodline.
I mean, I think yeah.
Sure.
Well, I mean, all right. So we've kind of danced around all of these, talking about the finishes. I'm just going to run down. This order is not official. This is the order that the person on Wikipedia typed them in. We'll just go from the top here. Damian Priest, Gunther, World Heavyweight Championship. Who takes that title?
I got Gunther.
I have Gunther.
Man, I think you got to pull the trigger on Gunther ASAP. You know what I mean? Like he's the guy.
The way they've been featuring him, it's pay-per-view championship, world heavyweight championship status. He doesn't wrestle. He comes, cut a promo, looks good, dressed good, be gone. I'm messing you up at SummerSlam. And that's what it leads to. It'll be a shame if they did all this and he doesn't walk away champion.
Right. No, I agree. And so does Tara.
And I think Gunther's holding it all the way to Mania.
Oh, wait, yeah. Gunther called. Dave, I'm remiss. Can we move on from Raw without talking about the streak? Are you telling me that
Karrion
Kross is at a 2-week winning streak? Bring up the crossometer. I'm gonna try and I have to remember to make that graphic. If he gets on another winning streak, I'm gonna do a 3-week crossometer graphic. And real quick with the Wyatt Six stuff, Loomis with the Gargano family in NXT, Gacy had the schism in NXT. Both of their families abandoned them. That's got to be their story. So they were abandoned by their families.
Okay,
if they say that fixes a lot of problems I have.
I mean, frankly. I get that, but again, I want more connection to Bray Wyatt himself.
Some of them those guys may not have that. Move over, Goldberg. If they give Karrion Kross a winning streak like Goldberg, I will eat a hat.
Hey, speaking about winning streak, have you seen Shitstain lately? Shitstain's been wrestling very well. They've been pushing her. They put her in a fucking fashion now.
I noticed that.
I think they might take the belts.
Oh, the women's
and when
tag
that
belt?
happens, we need to all wear shit-stained shirts for Steve.
Steve is gonna, folks. If at any point, for our live listeners and the people listening afterward, if there's any point in time where Zoe Stark wins a championship in WWE, you need to set your set schedule aside, put your kids to bed, whatever it is. You need to listen to that show live on Tuesday after the title win, because Steve, if he didn't have like blood shoot out of his eye and just die of an aneurysm as soon as it happened, will certainly have some things to say.
Like, we've heard Steve rants, but this would be the rant to end all rants.
I mean, I've never given this much of a shit about a women's wrestler in my life, let alone hated one this bad.
I mean, believe me, I agree with Steve that she sucks, but like, I don't have the hatred level.
Yeah, that's what it is. He really is a visceral kind of like, it comes from somewhere deep down.
He truly, truly, truly hates her. And I'm going to tell you what, he might hate me for this, but I think she's gotten better.
Yeah, she probably has.
Scissor Sisters.
Yeah, the Scissor. Dave says the name of the faction is the Scissor Sisters. Well, I think that's already taken, but
they almost did Submission Sorority.
That's actually great, Dave.
Society or Submission Sorority.
Sisters.
Yeah, the Submission Sorority was supposed to be a faction, and then a quick Google search made them find out that that was a pornography website, and they had to change it. Yeah, so
it was on some kind of hub.
Yeah, it was on it. Yeah, who knows what kind of hub it was on. Steve, you mentioned this earlier, and we didn't, or Eric rather. I'm sorry. Bald guys all look alike. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. But you mentioned this earlier, so we're going to dip into this one. The next match on the Wikipedia list for SummerSlam: Bayley versus Nia Jax. And you said that you the finish is now in question for you, or like changed somehow.
Yeah, because at first I thought, especially once they started teasing little, dissension between Nia and Tiffy.
Mm-hmm.
I thought for sure that Nia is going to win the belt from Bayley and then get cashed in on right away. However, with them destroying her briefcase recently and WWE wanting to probably make a profit off of new Tiffy Time briefcases, then it makes me think that it doesn't necessarily make me think that
she might not cash in at SummerSlam. You're thinking?
Yeah, it makes me, it doesn't necessarily mean that Nia won't win the belt, but they might want to milk it.
I believe that we're gonna get a little Seth Rollins in this girl because her muscle has been Nia Jax. And she swore Nia Jax she's not going to interfere in her match. Yet she's tried to cash in a few times before SummerSlam, and Nia Jax has stopped her. So I believe there'll be a point in the match that Nia Jax gets either knocked out of the ring and what's-her-face is left in the ring, and you're going to hear Tiffy Time music, and she's going to come and cash in on the girl in the ring.
I hadn't even considered that. That's
And the last scene you're going to see in that match is Tiffy Time on top of the ramp with the briefcase, scared to death, and Nia Jax staring her down, looking to kill her. And that's going to start a little rift.
Because
that's what I believe will happen in that match.
That's pretty cool too, and like a lot of people believe that what saved the main event of WrestleMania 31 was that exact scenario, what Seth did, and then WrestleMania ends with him as champion after cashing in.
Could be an interesting way to go about it. Dave asked, and I don't know, Eric, you're gonna probably know this one. It sounds right, but I don't know if it's right. Is it true that there's never been a women's cash in later than SummerSlam?
Shit. They do cash in pretty early.
I feel a lot of times they do. It's always been successfully cashed in with the women, and they do usually do it like fairly soon. So I think it's very well possible. I'd have to look it up. Ryan, where are you?
Right, if Ryan's listening, figure that out. But it seems true because I agree. I think the women's briefcases get cashed in very very quickly after they're issued to somebody. But I do like Eric's idea of like they obviously smashed her briefcase for a reason, and it seems like it would be to debut a custom
I'll tell you what would be
briefcase.
funny though is if they debut the new briefcase this Friday on SmackDown,
And then she just cashes the fuck in.
and they get, oh, and they put it on WWE Shop, and everybody buys, as many people buy it as possible in a couple of days, and then the next day she cashes in anyway. And
you know what, you might be right with that. Maybe they just milk it that way. The fact that that's her muscle, and they'll keep it cordial, and whenever Nia loses it, is going to be because it's Tiffy cashing in on her. Because she's going to have to do, or maybe they do the first woman that holds it a while, and she catches in at WrestleMania on her, in the scenario that I stated now.
Because they did, if you really think about it, they have tried to build Nia back up as this dominant force too, like winning the Queen of the Ring and all that. So
Yeah, but it's also just funny that we're already talking about WrestleMania matchups. We haven't even got the SummerSlam yet.
I mean, we're on the road, right? In a way.
Yeah.
For me, the road starts at SummerSlam because that's where you built the matchups and everything. In a way.
Yeah, it does. It kind of sets the table for it.
It set the seed for us.
After WrestleMania, you know how we usually get that low point where because it's post Mania, all the stuff has kind of died down.
Yeah.
But and maybe it was like that the first 2 months, but the second 2 months are really things started to turn back around with Wyatt Six and all the new bloodline members and stuff like that. The interest is more that it wasn't impacted as much as it usually is post Mania,
right?
Which is great, but that's possibly because it was leading to all the SummerSlam stuff.
Dave thinks they should let Tiffy mature a bit before they put the belt on her, which
I mean, I wouldn't have a problem.
That's very fair.
But sometimes, what's the worst that could happen? You put the belt on her, she stinks, and then you just give it to somebody else.
I mean, and now if she cashes in, they still, because she's so over and popular, they may turn her face.
Yeah, well, here's the thing: if Nia Jax wins, then yes, and she cashes in, then she's automatically babyface.
But if Tiffany cashes in on Bayley, then she's the heel.
Right. Exactly. And of course, Dario. What up, Dario? How you doing, buddy? I haven't been on Discord in a minute. I'll be on Discord in a bit, Dario. Yeah, so I don't know. I think you're right. I think if Bayley, yeah, I don't know if there's going to be a cash in. It feels like there should be a cash in, but I don't know. You're making an argument.
I do think either way, though, that Nia is taking the belt. Whether she gets cashed in on after,
yeah, it might be time. It might be time
because Bayley's, they really didn't,
She didn't light the world on fire after this WrestleMania thing, unfortunately.
Do you think they'll do? I mean, think about it. Now that I'm thinking about that, would they do another back-to-back cash-in? Because we just saw that with Drew literally a few months ago. You think they'll do a back-to-back of the same?
Oh, a title win and then a cash-in. I see.
Right, like we just had that.
I'll
Which
tell
might
you
be
what,
another reason why she might keep it longer.
I'll tell you what, though. Either way, if eventually Tiffany does get the belt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Her versus Charlotte would be a great matchup.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Not that I want Charlotte to win yet another fucking title, but but Charlotte, and this is a compliment to her. She's so good that she's kind of like the Undertaker, beyond a belt at this point. She's a marquee attraction,
right?
We do need more stories with women that aren't
focused on just the title, right?
The
Yeah, and
closest we had
beating
was what, Natalia and Ruby Riott a few years ago. And then they put Jim the Anvil, his picture on the table or something.
Yeah. I didn't like that. Let's see, Dave. No, that maybe Nywin's Tiffany cashes in on the Rhea Liv winner, and they both have belts. That would really throw a wrench in everything, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Huh.
That would fuck up everything we just talked about for the last hour and 5 minutes.
It sure would.
Speaking of the next match they have listed on Wikipedia here, Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley. Does Liv retain her championship, or do we have the return of Mommy as champion?
I say yes. I say Liv retains her championship. At the beginning, I didn't believe this, but the more and more I see this, the more I see the bloodline. I mean, I'm sorry, the Judgment Day breaking apart.
The more that has
and
progressed
think about it,
since
like
then,
Liv just got the short end of the stick. Like Dominic just told her like she was crazy and all this other stuff. Like the world's against her. I truly think there's a way she finds it. I think Dominic is going to cost her the match the same way he's been costing everybody a match that goes against Liv. Like he'll try to help Mommy and it's going to backfire on him.
Oh, yeah. You guys are selling me on this. You're not selling Tara though. Tara is Rhea Ripley all the way. You are making you're making an argument for it though. He is kind of a goof, and that could be what ends up leading to this. If they really are splitting the Judgment Day at SummerSlam, then the Judgment Day losing their matches due to like Dom trying to interfere and it messes up, or like JD and Finn try and interfere on Damien's behalf and they mess it up, and then that's why Damien loses. Like it could all be like they're so out of sync and they're not on the same page, and the interference backfires, and then that's it. Like that's how the group falls apart.
I almost feel like at this point they might, especially once the other matches are over and once Sammy loses his belt, which is likely, that I could see like Jey Uso and Sami Zayn winning the tag belts from Judgment Day.
Interesting.
And that's when you get both tag belts on other bloodline members, potentially.
Since you brought it up, Sami Zayn losing to Braun Breaker, or is he winning?
I think Braun's taking it this time.
Yeah.
I like the story they told that, and Braun himself had said, like, look, I underestimated the guy.
Right.
I am a rookie, but I underestimated him, and that's why I lost. I put,
I like the idea that he's like, right. He acknowledged that he lost. He's like, I need to figure out
and
why.
Not only that, but it's not like he lost to like Tozawa or something. He lost.
Right. He lost the Intercontinental champion. Yeah.
A former, he did put on a couple of main events and was highly involved with the the biggest storyline of this.
Yeah, there's no shame in losing. There's no shame in losing to Sami Zayn, but I like that his idea is like, okay, I need to figure out why I lost and then win the next time. Like use what I learned from the loss, which is like a pretty for a heel, it's a pretty noble thing to be like, yep, I know I lost and I'm going to try and figure out why I lost and I'll be better next time. Like
I also think you're going to have a ton of great challengers for Braun in his championship reign.
So Tara thinks Sammy's losing. She loves him, but Sammy's losing. And then Dave with an interesting little thought. The only way Braun loses is if Dragunov gets involved.
Right. They could still, drag that along.
Yeah, they
no
could
pun
definitely.
Intended.
I don't know if they'll have him get in. I don't think he'd interfere, though. You know what I mean?
I mean, because there's still legs to Dragunov versus Kaiser. And now you got Sheamus involved with Pete Dunne. So, there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
But Braun is another one. Like Gunther, I don't see Braun losing it until Mania, at least.
Yeah, if he wins it, he's keeping it for a while, I think.
And then you got to be careful on who's the one that takes it from him.
Yes, and then where does Braun go after that? Because if it's like Gunther, Braun should hold the Intercontinental Championship for a while, put somebody over and give them the title and then immediately go fucking win a world title, because in a year or 2 or 3, he's going to be a fucking world champion.
I mean, look, for all we know, he could win next year's King of the Ring.
He's
SummerSlam.
He has sped through developmental and NXT and everything else. He is like a naturally gifted athlete. Obviously, he comes from, strong DNA. But it's just amazing to see somebody develop so quickly.
The speed on this guy.
Oh, unbelievable.
Jesus.
He is so fast to be that big.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He's so big. It's almost like when you'd see Keith Lee doing something impressive. You're like, how does a guy that big do it?
Or it's like when Braun Strowman runs. Like, that's very impressive, too. But there's a lot of force with Braun's,
Oh, dude, Braun Breaker's got fucking stank behind it. Like, whatever it is, he just hit, like, he builds up a head of steam, then hits him with a spear or a shoulder tackle or something. It's just like, he fucking kills him.
Remember how Rikishi used to take those kind of bumps and he'd flip himself?
Yeah. The inside outs.
Yeah.
Let's see. Logan Paul, LA Knight. I mean, if LA Knight doesn't win this, he might as well fucking retire. Like, what are we doing
Pretty
here?
much.
This will only be his third ever defense with the belt.
That's crazy. He's had the belt.
And Logan Paul, and again, and this is also an oddly a compliment from me as well. I don't quite understand how he got popular, but I don't understand his appeal from someone my age, but I get why it's happening and why they're utilizing it. But he's also like this, much like he's kind of like Bad Bunny in that he's like this guy that you could put on every once in a while and have a great, match with somebody. You don't need a belt on him.
Right. And I think they really did it because, he's a celebrity. I'm sure this Prime endorsement had something to do with it. And he's from Cleveland, if I'm not mistaken, and the pay-per-view's in Cleveland. So him walking in
Why don't
as
they
champ.
Put him, Miz, and Gargano together in a stable called Cleveland Rocks?
Why not at this point? Why the fuck not?
I mean, I would have included Ziggler back in the day too. But,
right.
He is now the TNA World Heavyweight Champion.
Yes, the wanted man, Nick Nemeth, is now TNA World Champion.
Good for him.
He's doing like a Kurt Russell thing. He's doing like a Kurt Russell from the 80s, like Escape from New York kind of deal. Like, that's his gimmick now. Let's see. Last 2 matches here on the main card. CM Punk, Drew McIntyre. We talked about it a lot earlier in the show. What do we think the finish is?
It's hard to say, and I say this because I can't see them wanting to have Punk lose but there's no way. I feel like Drew needs the win more.
He does. And I know
he doesn't beat Punk.
Though. And again, like
interference.
Yeah.
I mentioned.
But like I said, you can have it continue on with, it builds up. If Punk loses, it builds more up to Punk versus Rollins and keeps the focus out, and then Drew could do his own thing.
Yeah, but well, I mean, it's just Drew needs to do his own thing, but Drew needs some career rehab right now, man.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So Tara thinks LA Knight takes the W. Tara thinks Drew takes the W. And Flash, I mean, we will get into this in just a second, but I agree. Jacob Fatu is better than everybody. Mic drop. Yes. 100%. Jacob Fatu is that guy. In a couple years, it's going to be Jacob Fatu and Braun Breaker wrestling each other forever for every WrestleMania for like a decade, because these guys are the fucking future. Let's see. And then Dave has one. Rollins cost Punk the match, but there's 2 parts, but not intentionally. So it is reminiscent of, as we said, the Undertaker, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels situation.
So he might be aiming for Drew, but hits Punk instead.
Right. With a super kick or something.
But
or with a
back to
chair.
that one, like it the way it depicted Shawn Michaels in that respect is that he was kind of like painted into a corner, and that's how he kind of started DX because of that.
And he reluctantly, I mean, you saw the 3 count that he makes is like 1. He hesitates 2, and he waits even longer. He's like, come on, I'm giving you every opportunity.
Like
He's like,
wanted to hit Brett.
Yeah,
but
right.
Brett
He wanted
ducked
Brett.
and Taker got hit, and then that's how Taker lost the belt. And
But
leads
but
to
he
Taker
had to
versus
count
Shawn,
the 3. Yeah.
and Hell in the Cell, which led to Kane, and so it worked out for the best.
Oh yeah, for sure. And last but not least, Cody Rhodes defending the championship against Solo, Sikoa, and every other member of the Bloodline, because we know they're getting involved.
I got Cody retaining. Then they start beating the shit out of him, and then Roman comes back.
I have Cody retaining. Orton and Kevin Owens coming to help him at the end. And Big Bad, the Tongan kid comes out. The new member of the Bloodline.
Oh, whichever one, Hikuleo.
Tangatoa, whatever they call him.
Yeah.
Talatanga, because he's
they
tall.
wanted to be Talatanga, yeah. Let's see.
Hikuleo is such a better name.
Right. Tara thinks Cody's going to win and agrees with the way it goes down for Eric from his perspective. It would be interesting if a bunch of stuff happened at the end of this match where, like, Cody wins, obviously, because he has to kind of. The Bloodline start to beat down Cody after the match. Owens and Orton come out to make the save, and the Bloodline gets backed off. But then Orton drops Owens and Cody with RKOs. And then as the Bloodline are backing up the ramp, they're looking at the ring. They're like, what is going on over there? And they're like, let's get the hell out of here. They're going back up the ramp. As they're coming back up the ramp, Roman Reigns music hits, and he comes out with Paul Heyman and just stands at the top of the ramp, and the other Bloodline's at the bottom of the ramp. And Roman is staring at the Bloodline, and Randy Orton is staring down at Cody Rhodes, and that's how you end. You have 2 big storylines. Boom, right there.
Huh.
I would be very happy with it.
Damn.
I live an hour from the office, guys. If anybody's listening, shit ain't hard.
Ask Big Heck.
Right? Yeah. Right. To give Big Heck that little snippet, be like, guys, we got an idea. Dave A says Cody, but I'd love to see Brock and Heyman. Brock coming back is an interesting prospect. SummerSlam is kind of Brock's pay-per-view too. Like traditionally, he was like the big showcase match at a lot of SummerSlam.
Honestly, and I don't even care if this is just a one-off, but I'd love to see just once Brock, Roman, and Punk, the Heyman guys, together in one match. That's it. That's all I need.
And if Roman comes back as a babyface, and if Punk stays a babyface, and potentially if Brock Lesnar comes back, you could see that happen. Maybe not in 2024, maybe in 2025. Because Brock did put Cody over at last SummerSlam. One before that, something like that.
I don't even remember now. I don't remember the last time we saw Brock.
I only remember because I think it was the first time Cody used 3 crossroads to pin somebody, and I was like, that's silly. Why are you going to use your finisher 3 times? And now he has to hit the thing 3 times on like fucking the Brooklyn Brawler before pinning him, and it's just like, buddy, what's your it's your finisher. Hit it once and then pin him. Like, why are we? Or get a new one. Just get a new one. We can leave this one behind. We don't need the spinning DDT, like the over. It's such an indie finisher anyway.
It's indie-rific.
It's like a creator wrestler finisher. It's the finisher you give somebody when they're in like NXT and you don't know what their gimmick is going to be. Let's see. Tara had a little comment here. Speaking of Heyman, anyone see the A&E documentary? Very good. I did not, but
I missed it.
I heard some very good things about it.
But those things are the work they do on those.
Yeah, they're very well done.
WWE's production in general, and I don't know if it's WWE's or A&E's, but either way, they're all excellent.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of resources that helps them, because I'm sure WWE gives them a lot of footage, and then A&E, if the A&E editors get it stuff. I don't know. It would be interesting. I would have to look into the actual credits to see who did what, but they do.
Anyone they've done one on, I've loved, and someone like Paul Heyman is got to be a great one.
Yeah, because they talk about his dad and his mom and how his mother was a Holocaust survivor and stuff like that. So,
and
definitely.
then like him, taking a picture with the unholy triumvirate of wrestling managers when he was, a teenager.
Yeah, and that was like his deal, right? Was he a ringside photographer for the longest time? Yeah, that was his deal.
Like he was doing stuff like Bill Apter was doing.
Right. But he was like when he started doing it, he was a young guy.
Yeah.
He wasn't even. He was like probably 14 or 16 years old, trying to get his start. So yeah, it'll probably be worth checking out the A&E documentary. I haven't seen it yet, but I now have something to go watch later as I have more chicken parm. We've kind of exhausted the SummerSlam thing. Does anybody have any other comments before we hit the old dusty trail?
Time to hit the old dusty trail. Can't get out that way. Little Family Guy reference. No, you mentioned Japan earlier, like New Japan and deals and stuff like that. WWE was in Japan recently over the weekend, I believe.
Yes.
And they did a tour, and then they announced that Miko Satomura has announced that she's going to retire in 2025.
Oh wow.
April of 2025. Now, she was NXT UK Women's Champion for a bit. Actually for quite a while.
Yeah, for a while.
I wish my wish would be for her to have just a small little run on the main roster. Doesn't necessarily have to have a belt.
Right.
Just to have one WrestleMania match would be cool. Like, she was really young when she was on like episodes of Nitro back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
She was like early 20s back then.
Wow.
Possibly even younger.
And when there was a reason they picked her to come in. And
she's a beast. And I know they called the Rock Final Boss. She was known as the Final Boss for quite a while.
Yeah, and there was a reason they brought her into the NXT UK thing. Is like, as a veteran, she could like really work with anybody and help them improve.
She did a lot for like Roxanne Perez.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And several other people. So, be nice to see her just involved with something.
To get some sort of
before she retires. Just throw her something.
Acknowledgement before she retires, for sure. And then Dave, speaking of women's wrestling, Toni Storm, Mariah May has been one of the best storylines in years. I mean, I absolutely agree. The way
Mariah as Timeless Toni right after that was so awesome.
That was great, and she looked just like her.
I was like, "Holy shit! Wait, is that Toni? No, it's not Toni."
She fooled the entire arena that night too. Like everybody there, when you watched on TV, they all thought it was her.
And that is a result that I did not see coming, because I really thought that they were setting up for Toni to turn on Mariah because of jealousy of how over she's getting.
Right. No, I like that they went
and they
this
turned
direction
it completely around. But it's great that the visual, especially of a black and white Toni with the color, but they colorized the blood. I mean, I love that shit.
Oh, it's great. And now Toni's coming out with a bit of a different vibe now.
They're transitioning out of the Timeless character a little bit.
Yeah, she's kind of looking a little bit whatever happened to Baby Jane, a little bit of Mommy Dearest, she's going a little in that direction. And then there was when she was dressed in a disguise, I think it was last week, she was dressed in like a black suit and a wig. And and Tony Schiavone goes, she looks like something out of a Quentin Tarantino movie. So she was like dressed like Mia Wallace from Pulp Fiction.
And was it with and then Schiavone goes, "Oh, just speak, bitch."
That was wild.
Taz was like, "Tony, Jesus Christ."
Everybody paused for a second. I paused for a second. I had to take a deep breath because I like the way he does. He's like, sorry, I just get emotional about it or whatever. He said something after. I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm okay with it because you have to care. If nobody cares, like if the announcers don't care, if the wrestlers don't care, then why should the audience care? He got so worked up, he called that bitch a bitch. You know what I mean? You're like,
I mean, well, look at it. It just goes to show how important commentary is because look at Goldberg in WCW. Part of the allure was the way Heenan put him over on commentary. I mean, everybody did, but especially Heenan.
No, Heenan was crazy putting him over, put him over really, really strong.
Especially when he got the win over Hogan. I mean, geez.
Oh, that night was, that was some of the best commentary Bobby Heenan's ever done, and he's done a lot of great commentary.
The '92 Rumble comes to mind,
and that was a long match to keep whole thing
fair
up
to Flair
the whole way through. And my favorite part was depending on whether or not Roddy Piper was helping Ric Flair or fighting against him, he would call it a kilt or a skirt. And then when Roddy finally started helping Flair, he's like, I take it all back, Roddy. It's a kilt. It's not a skirt. And then then he goes and punches Flair. He's like, I knew it. It's still a skirt, Roddy. Like, fantastic.
Bobby was such a genius.
He was.
Rumble was my favorite Heenan commentary, my favorite Ric Flair moment, my favorite Rumble in general, and my favorite Roddy Piper promo that he did on the Mountie. It had a lot of things, even though there was
it checks a lot of boxes. Yeah,
there was a couple of things that could have done without, like Bushwhackers, Beverly Brothers, or whatever it was. But overall, that Rumble. Whew.
Yeah, it was a good pay-per-view and a good.
I used to be able to recite that whole Piper promo that he did on the Mountie.
Oh yeah.
Ask Steve. It cracked him up every time I did it.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to remember what it is, but it's too late at night for me to remember that shit right now.
Said something about wet dreams and the village people. And,
yes. Goodness gracious. I remember that now. Oh my God. Just like I remember the one, the Hot Rod or the Hot Scott, and he had his body painted black.
Yeah. Oh, against Bad News Brown for the. Oh, you know what? I was 10, so I didn't really understand the implications at that point in my life. The half black, half white thing.
Yeah, you don't.
And I don't think it was necessarily meant to be, offensive.
I mean, I don't know if it was meant to be offensive. It was definitely, he was pushing a limit.
Yeah.
Vince did that to Moxley before he quit.
Something Piper was known for.
Wait, what did
Vince did that to Moxley before? What are we talking about? What did Vince do to Moxley?
He stuck him in the ass with a big syringe?
Kill his push? I don't know.
Did he paint him half black?
We almost had Dean Ambrose.
The Mountie. Yes, that was
the Mountie. Yeah,
that was when you knew. And
Danielson was the GM or whatever.
Right, and he kept kicking
Ambrose
him out.
Goes, the Mountie always gets his man.
And that was when you could tell Ambrose was on his way out because he was just having too much fun. He was like, I'm just gonna do this goofy, like I'm gonna be the Mountie. I'm gonna order. Didn't one time he ordered a pizza? Like that's how he got back in. He's like, I brought you a pizza.
Once they started with Mitch the Potted Plant, it was all over.
Yeah, they tried too much for him to be like, instead of being like a crazy guy that's focused like a serial killer kind of guy, or like a like a Hannibal Lecter.
I mean, shit.
They made him
teased,
crazy in the wacky way.
Yeah,
Like he was the wacky
they
crazy.
teased him against Nia Jax of all people, and then they teased. I think it was him and like EC3 or something was supposed to be possibly a thing.
Yeah, and then the EC3 had him and EC3 had like a bad match or something, and I don't know.
I mean, was it Booker T Buff Bagwell bad, or
I don't think anything's that bad.
That's infamous, that one.
Well, the other problem with it is the audience was so, like, they were fighting an uphill battle, those two guys, because they were coming into unfamiliar territory. They were WCW guys main eventing a Monday Night Raw in front of a Raw audience who didn't necessarily watch or like WCW. It was a whole thing.
I mean, Buff was like out of the company within a month or less.
Yeah. When your mom starts calling the office and asking to talk to JR, you're done, buddy.
Former WCW World Tag Team Champion Judy Bagwell.
R.I.P. Judy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, shit. We went an hour and a half today. Got anything else we need to discuss? Or are we going to call this one a day?
I think it's a day.
Yeah. I'm good.
All right. Well, once again, I want to thank both Dave Roska and Dave A for chiming in today. And Tara, of course. Nice to see you in the chat. Did Ryan throw anything in here? I don't think he did. Dario definitely did. Thanks, Dario.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Flash was in there. Thanks, Flash, for throwing some comments too. Whoa. Yeah, man. So thank you, everybody.
Every one of us.
He did. The universe. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Whatever platform you're on, please follow us there, whether it's my Facebook page or Steve's Facebook page. Oh, don't worry about being late, Tara. The great thing about this stream is that you can just take the whole thing and slide it back, and you go listen to the whole show. So never worry about being late. We know people got things to do. So we're live streaming on mine and Steve's personal Facebooks. I share it to my @OSnapVince page. We also have it on the Tag Me a Date @Tag Me a Date on Facebook, @Tag Me a Date on YouTube. Live streaming, and most of our social media is @Tag Me a Date. It's no spaces. It's all one word. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, etc., etc., etc. If you look on a platform, it's probably us @Tag Me a Date. And Twitch is the only different one. It's twitch.tv/War Report. If you're on Twitch, you can add us as a favorite or a friend on there, whatever it's called. And then on YouTube, you type Tag Me a Date in the search bar. You'll bring up the page. You can hit the subscribe button, please, and hit the bell to be notified when we go live. You can also hit the thumbs up if you want on any of the pages, whether it's the Facebook or the YouTube. Give us all a follow on our @Tag Me a Date pages. And you can go see the streams, the prior streams on our YouTube and our Twitch page, and on Facebook. If you go scroll through, you can go to the Facebook tab there as well. So we've got video archives there. But if you prefer an audio version instead of a video version of the podcast, you can just go to your favorite podcast app, type in Tag Me a Date, the War Report, hit the search button. You'll be brought to the search page, and you can subscribe to the War Report podcast, the audio version of the podcast, whether it's Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts. Just type it in, the War Report, Tag Me a Date. You'll see the podcast. Hit the subscribe button. Usually what happens is Ryan takes the audio, and within the hour of us being off the air, it'll be uploaded to your tablet or your mobile device, so you can take it with you wherever it is that you listen to your podcasts. And if you look in, there are 2 wrestling podcasts called The War Report, but for ease of use for everybody, we made sure that the graphic and the description next to the podcast both had Tag Me a Date in there. It mentions Steve, it mentions Vince, it mentions the crew, the whole crew. So you can tell it's us, as opposed to the other one that also unfortunately shares the same name. So subscribe to that, and if you like your audio podcast, that's how you get that. Otherwise, we'll be back next week for another edition of the War Report. Whatever platform you're on right now, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, etc., go back there next week. The stream will be there. Again, we've been having some weird StreamYard things. Facebook and different platforms have been updating things that affect StreamYard, and then it affects us down the line of like being able to share the video and put it on different pages and shit. So just stick with whatever page you're on. So whether it's Facebook or YouTube or Twitch, just we'll be back next week, baby. We'll be right there, 9 o'clock Eastern time for another edition of the War Report. So we'll see you next week. And I hope everybody has a good one.